Welcome to the Dusty debate. Today we have two guests. One is planning to start Dusty, and the other is planning to fade him. Today, they will engage in a discussion attempting to persuade each other and you, the audience, of their point of view. To get started though, let's look at the basics. So Dusty is priced at $527,300 this year. He lost his midfield eligibility, so he's only available for us in the forward line this year. And last year, in 2023, he averaged only 94.3 Supercoach points. So if we want him to be a premium in our forward line this year, he'll have to lift that average by around 5 or 6 points. So let's ask our guests, do you guys think he can do that?
Well, I'm not completely sold on his scoring ability, but I think the bigger problem is his durability. So as he enters the twilight of his career, I think he is becoming more and more injury prone.
What are you talking about? Dusty's still in his prime and he's been durable throughout his whole career.
Yeah, okay, I will admit he did stay relatively injury free in the early years of his career. In the first 11 years, he only missed 5 games due to injury and never missed 2 in a row. But in the last 3, he has missed 17 games, including 7 games in a row to a hamstring injury. Personally, I cannot trust him to stay on the park in 2024.
Yeah, I know, he has missed a lot of footy recently, but most of his injuries have been pretty minor, and none of them have been reoccurring. The most serious one was when he missed 5 games to a kidney injury, but that was just a freak accident. Then, apart from the hamstring, the only other games he missed was 1 because of concussion, 2 because of illness, and then he was just managed the other 2.
Precisely. He missed 4 games because he was managed or ill. It is clear that the Tigers are taking a very cautious approach with their aging superstar. I expect him to miss more games because of soreness or being managed in 2024. And, actually, I also noticed you made a little mistake. One of those times where Dusty got managed was actually because of hamstring awareness. I would say, personally, that is a recurring injury, isn't it?
You trying to question my integrity, mate?
Well, you straight up lied, so yes, in fact, I am.
Boys, calm down, please. Anyway, I think we should move on from talking about injuries and instead focus on midfield time. Yeah, good idea.
Excellent suggestion.
Throughout most of his career, Dusty has mainly been a midfielder and has averaged around 100 in that role. However, in the last few years, he's moved to playing forward a little bit more, and his average has decreased. While I know this is somewhat up to injuries, what part has his role change specifically played in this scoring decrease? Well, based on the stats I'm looking at, I don't think it's had a huge effect. So in 2021, he was still getting a decent amount of midfield time with 70% CBAs. But then it was in 2022 and 2023 where his midfield time dropped. So he had 37% and 18% CBAs respectively. But his decrease in scoring doesn't seem to be correlated with this, because he went and averaged 93 in 2021, 87 in 2022, and 94 in 2023. So that scoring drop was throughout all of those last 3 years, whereas the drop in midfield time was only in the last 2 years. So I think from this we can conclude that it's pretty unrelated how much midfield time he gets and how much he scores. Personally, I think the reason why his scoring has dropped over the last few years is because of injuries, holding him back so that he's not playing 100% fit and hasn't had huge pre-seasons because of those injuries. But this year, I think he's having a great pre-season. So yeah, that's why I reckon I'm going to get him.
Seriously? You think it didn't affect his scoring output? Everybody knows that midfielders score way more than forwards. See, what I did was I looked specifically at the stats from 2023. I looked at pre-buy and post-buy. Pre-buy, Dusty averaged 83 with 14% CBAs, whereas post-buy, he averaged 118 with 27% CBAs. That's a fair difference, wouldn't you say?
Okay, fair point. I didn't know that. But 27% CBAs isn't that much, and you still scored huge. I know we can't guarantee that he gets a heap of mid-time, especially with the new coach. We don't know what's going to happen. But 118, that is huge upside. Personally, I'm willing to take the risk.
So first there was an injury risk, and now a role risk. Too much risk for me. And anyway, you say he has upside of 118 average. No. Even if he gets 90% CBAs, he's not getting 118. First, that 118 is only a 7-game sample size. I doubt he could sustain that over a whole season. And even in the best years of his career, when he got all the midfield minutes, his highest average was 119, sure, but after that his next highest was 108. There is just no way that I can see Dusty at age 32 replicating anything near his best.
All we need is 100 though. He's done that plenty of times in his career.
I keep hearing this, he needs to average 100 or whatever, and I don't entirely agree. While, okay, it's going to make him top 6 in the forward line for average, sure, but you still must consider that he does have the bye in round 6. He is losing you 50 points because you will have to field a rookie. If you get someone who doesn't have the bye, you can field them, save the 50 points. You might say you can flip him. I don't think you can flip him. You'd only plan to flip players who are getting a lot more value than Dusty is, like a mid-pricer or something. I know Dusty does present some value, but he's still a premium. You are still picking him as a keeper. Honestly, I just can't justify holding him over the bye, and I can't justify flipping him either.
Nah, I'm not planning on flipping him. I'm going to hold him for the whole season. And also, 50 points isn't that much. He just needs to average a couple points more than the next best option every round, and he makes up that 50 easy. And it's not like there are that many options in the forward line. Apart from McRae, Dusty is definitely going to average a couple more points than the next best guy. Also, he's going to be a very good loophole option for that round.
First off, you won't need the loophole. Like, there are plenty of other Melbourne and Richmond options who are way better than Dusty. You'll have them in your team, so you won't need Dusty. And also, you say, oh, there's scarcity in the forward line, there's no good players, but what I would do, I'd just pick premiums in other lines and then wait for DPP. I mean, we're going to get players like Bont, Petrarca, and heaps more in the forward line in like round 6, round 12. So, yeah.
Nah, there's no way those guys get DPP. Overall, I'd say Dusty just has to average 100 to 105, and he's basically the best player in the forward line, and on top of that has 5 to 10 points of value. Personally, I'm locking him in.
Okay, your Richmond bias is just astounding right now. Like, seriously. Like, there is no way I'm picking Dusty. Just way too risky, and with the bye, it's just even worse. I'm out. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap it up. Thank you both for coming today, and hopefully you, the audience, have got a better insight into whether or not you want to start Dusty. Also, feel free to leave a comment if you have another point that you want to talk about with Dusty. And yeah, like the video and subscribe, and thanks for watching.